It's the second time I've forgotten to hit record. Just real briefly, this is a winter solstice practice. I'm not going to repeat what I just said, but I'm glad everybody's here. So just to kind of continue on, when it comes to the type of yoga practice, and if you guys would like to add journaling on at the end, for those of you that are here, I actually have journals out there for everybody. I'll give you guys an opportunity if you want before we start to grab one, and pens, and we'll do that at the very end if you guys want to, or you could just stay in Shavasana. So one of the reasons why I like to do an intentional practice this time of year is, like I was saying before I forgot to hit record, is that it's a really good time to look back over the past year, reflect, kind of look at what challenges you may have had, but not in a way necessarily to criticize yourself, but more for self-reflection, transformation, integration before we move forward into the next year. We have a little bit of time before New Year's, usually like January 1st is when people start their New Year's resolutions and move forward. I like to start thinking about what my goals and things that I would like to accomplish, things that I want to do the following year now, and do it at a time where it's dark. You have time to just kind of slow down. And even if you don't have a lot of time, I have a couple of people in front of me that are retired, so they do have some time, but most people, it's the time of year where we're running a little bit more than we do the rest of the year, really, like from the end of summer until now. So it's a really good time to remind yourself to intentionally slow down, even if it's just like 10 minutes at a time. So, and really quickly, for those who are not familiar with Ayurveda, it is like the sister science to yoga. It's kind of like two sides of a coin. And everybody here knows a little bit about me, some more than others. I've been practicing yoga, teaching yoga for the past 5 years, but practicing for almost 15 years. And over the past few years, I've really started to study and live my life in according to Ayurveda, which is kind of the holistic habits, according to basically the rhythms of nature. It's probably the easiest way to explain it. Everybody's probably heard of the circadian rhythm. We don't even have to say that word, but just your habits. Everybody probably intuitively knows that when the seasons change, we feel different, you eat different, your body feels different. And so another thing that's good to remember this time of year is to kind of tune into that. And so this time of year, it's colder, we get more dry, depending on where you are, what part of the country you are. Some people have snow already, it can be rainy, more damp. And so you should probably think about your diet and your lifestyle habits should kind of shift according to the seasons. And in Ayurveda, it's called Rudacharya. The daily habits are called Dinacharya. So I'll try not to throw out all these crazy words at you. But so I wanted to share just a few quick things, because in the wintertime, a lot of times people get sick. Obviously, there's some extra viruses that we all know are floating around, right? So a couple things that I wanted to share with you, since this is a winter solstice, winter immune kind of workshop before we do our restorative practice. 3 things that I definitely think are good things to follow so that you stay healthy during the winter season. First thing, and you guys have probably heard me say this before, Mandy, you may not have, but having an earlier, lighter dinner is probably one of the things that most people don't do, because does anybody notice that they want to sleep more in the winter? Yeah. Mandy's like, she's not on call anymore. Well, naturally, our bodies crave more sleep because it's darker longer. And a lot of times we fight that because we think we're always supposed to go and do more things, but really we should kind of give into that a little bit. Going to bed earlier means that if you eat your dinner earlier and you have a smaller, lighter dinner, that you're going to set yourself up for a better night's sleep because your body's not so busy trying to digest food and work real hard. So that's one of the first things that there's a lot of different tips for keeping your immune system strong and getting better sleep in the wintertime. But that's probably one thing that's top on my list if I can only pick 3 things. And eating, but to do that, you need to eat a larger lunch sometime between 11 and 2. And the next thing, and I actually have it right here, drink hot water throughout the day. Sipping hot water, every 20 minutes throughout the day keeps you really hydrated. I was going to say dehydrated. It avoids you from being dehydrated. And I don't know about you guys, but I used to not drink a lot of water in the wintertime because I didn't want to drink water because I used to always drink ice water. But now, and what I notice, and now it makes sense, is that when I drink hot water, sometimes I feel more thirsty. And that's typically because when you drink hot water and you become more thirsty, it's because you're dehydrated. And so when you drink hot water, it actually helps to get into the cells and grab like all this is going to sound kind of gross, but the sludge and the toxins that build up in your body. Like, think of when you're doing the dishes and you have like a greasy dish, and when you use hot water, how it just kind of rinses the grease right off. That's exactly what's happening inside your body. So drinking hot water, and I don't mean coffee, I don't even mean tea necessarily, but just hot water, I know. But you can kind of mix it up, because like I'll throw in some warming spices. Like today I have some cardamom and some fennel in my hot water. So it's also a really good way to keep your immune system strong, because if you're getting all that stuff out, the toxins, then you're less likely to get sick, viruses, bacteria, all that kind of stuff. And then the third thing, which has actually become one of my favorite things to do, is it's called Abhyanga in Ayurveda, but it's self-massage. And so I have a couple oils. You guys can try them later on for those that are here. But one of my favorite oils to use in the wintertime is sesame oil. And yes, I do feel like I smell like Chinese food, but that's okay with me. I've got a couple others out there too. And so what it is you take time either in the morning, the evening. I actually do it in the morning and the evening. I always do it after my bath. And you just take a little bit of time. I mean, I don't do it for 10 minutes every day, but it's recommended to do it for 10 minutes at a time. And I always have to start with my feet, because that's just an area that I like to start with. But long, broad strokes, like towards the center of your body. And then when you get to your joints, just like circular motions. And the first reason why I like to do it is just because it makes me feel very grounded, especially this time of year when I feel like I've got a lot going on. It's very relaxing, and it is different than using just like lotion, because lotion can be very drying. But a couple other things that I've learned that it's really kind of neat is that, your toxins and like your endocrine system, meaning like hormones, can actually get trapped underneath the surface of your skin. And just by kind of moving that stuff around, it can help kind of get everything moving. It can circulate the lymphatic system. So it's another benefit of trying to keep your immune system strong in the wintertime. So this is probably my favorite thing to do. I don't do it as much in the summertime, but also like you can change it up too, and use like coconut oil or more cooling oils in the summertime. So I brought about 4 different ones. And I'll also kind of add in and layer in essential oils sometimes too. So it's just kind of like pick whatever works for you, but it's another really good habit to keep yourself strong and healthy in the wintertime. So do you guys have any questions before we get started about anything? Does anybody that's in here, not you guys, obviously I can't pass it through the computer, but if you guys want to try this before we get started, you guys all have socks on, you can do that, and you can go grab journals and pens if you want before we start. So if you open the door, sit tight 1 second, you guys on Zoom. If you open this door and it doesn't fall off the hinges. Yeah, here you go. Hey, hon. So if you guys want to try it, there's those. Yeah, oh yeah. And then he said, I'm doing Ayurveda right here. Actually, that's a really comfy place to do it. All right. So for those of you on Zoom, before we get started, we are going to be doing probably about 5 different restorative poses. And for you guys at home, if you've never done restorative yoga, what I've got here, I have blocks, I have a bolster and a blanket. And I realize maybe not everybody will have those props, so just get whatever is going to make you the most comfortable at home. Pillows, blankets, depending on where you're at in your house, fireplace, heater. You got it, Dawn? Okay. What'd you say, Mandy? Reading glasses and a flashlight. Okay. All right, so we'll get started with our restorative class. So the reason why we're doing a restorative practice on the winter solstice is, again, just same thing that we've been talking about, just going within, introspection, time to reflect. At the end, I have a visualization meditation we're going to do while we're in Shavasana. You can sit up if you would like. I'll let you know when we're going to do it, but I figure everybody might want to just stay in Shavasana while we do the meditation. And then depending on if you guys choose to journal or not, I'll kind of let you know, hey, we have a few minutes if you want to sit up, and we'll go from there. Okay. And I'll probably shut that so those lights don't blind you guys, just so you know. All right, so the first pose that we're going to do is going to be a belly down frog pose. So the first couple poses are going to be poses that we're going to be on our belly. And so for those of you at home, this is what the bolster looks like. It's just kind of like this long pillow. And I just put the blanket over top. You don't have to do that, but just makes it a little bit more comfortable. You can also make sure if you guys want, because we have extra blankets, you can also put a blanket under you so that when you're laying on the mat, it can be a little bit more comfortable. And then I can also put a blanket over you if you guys want. So let me make sure I have all this stuff out of the way. So just laying down lengthwise, and maybe just, you can either cross your hands, or if you have a block at home or a pillow or something, you can choose to just rest your forehead. It's really whatever makes you the most comfortable. So that's what we're going to do with the top part of our body. And so your chest should be pretty much lined up with the top of the bolster. Now, the belly down frog part is slowly start to bring the knees out to the sides, and then your feet kind of come out to the sides very lightly. So with restorative yoga, we're not really going for any sensation. We're not trying to chase sensation. We're just trying to use the props to support the musculature of the body. So even if this just doesn't feel right, if this is even too much, you can just straighten the legs, but bring the knees up as much as feel comfortable in your body, and then just bring the forehead down, and then slowly start to melt into your bolster or whatever prop you're using. Do you want me to help you? Do you want me to put a blanket over you, Dawn? Okay. In this position, I'm going to turn so you guys can hear me a little bit better, but I'm going to stay here with you. Is every time you exhale, try to see if you can let go of any tension that you might still be holding on from your day. And just see if you can surrender a little bit more into the bolster, into the ground that's supporting you. Just really taking an opportunity to just clear out the noise, slowing down, and just maybe lengthening the breath a little bit. So inhaling, expanding the belly into the bolster, and then exhaling, release, and then just surrender into the bolster, into the mat. And just paying attention here to see where you may be holding on to the most tension and maybe sending the breath into that part of the body. Continuing to lengthen the exhale and just surrendering and letting go. And then thinking about maybe what you want to let go of from 2021. Inhaling, exhaling nice and slow. Just really seeing if maybe you can lengthen your exhale here a little bit more. Almost so there's no distinction between your body and your bolster and your props. Just really letting go. So with Ayurveda, really trying to tune in to the wisdom of your body, listening to your body, which means just giving it an opportunity to slow down and to listen. And in this particular restorative pose, we're actually very gently kind of helping out our digestive system, which is the root of all health, according to Ayurveda, just by laying on our belly. So noticing how when you breathe in and then exhale out, how it almost feels like a very nice little massage. I'll spend another few minutes here. Got about 5 more breaths here. So the only thing I want you to consider as you move through the practice is moving nice and slow with intention. So before we transition to the next pose, which is going to be a supported child's pose, so we're not going to have to move very much. Before you move, just think about moving nice and slow. The motto in this kind of a class is slow is the new fast. So you can keep the bolster and the blanket exactly the way it is, or if you've got something at home to give you more of an incline, that's actually how I prefer to do supported child's pose. I'll kind of shift into the next pose so you guys can see where we're headed. But for supported child's pose, we're slowly going to come up, and maybe in the transition, just kind of move around and do whatever feels good in the body. Maybe you want to grab a cat-cow in between, or maybe you want to just go right into the supported child's pose. So leaving the bolster where it is, just bringing the knees to either side, leaning back so that the backside is kind of going towards the heels. And then I'm going to take my glasses off here for a minute. And then just basically hugging the bolster like this. You can bring the arms underneath, go one side or the other, whichever side is more comfortable for your neck, or if you have blocks or something to support the bolster so it's at an incline. This is my preference, actually. I like to bring it up and then come on down. If you're at home or even here, you can grab extra blankets and put them under you. So if you want a little bit more cushioning, or if you want the bolster to be a little bit closer to you, you can do that. And then the important thing here is to keep the arms nice and relaxed, because we tend to even push in to the mat, even in this supported child's pose. So make sure you're really using the props to support the weight of your body so that your arms aren't doing any work at all. And then just whatever feels comfortable for the neck, whatever side you want to go to, or maybe you just want to hang off the top of the bolster. It's your practice. Just do whatever feels good in your body. And then just let the body melt into the bolster. And then just really using the breath here as a thread between the body and the mind. And noticing as you breathe in, it expands, and then as you exhale, surrender, let go, just kind of melt into the props. And again, as you inhale, maybe thinking of a white light or a blue light, tracing your breath with the light. And then as you exhale, just letting everything go. Just releasing what no longer serves you, whether that be muscular tension, physical tension, emotions, thoughts, experiences. Just let that all go. We have a few more breaths here, 5 more breaths. So just like the last pose, just take a few more breaths, and before we start to transition into the next pose, just remembering to move slow with intention, and slow is the new fast. And then when you're ready, it's going to come to the back. You can keep your bolster exactly the way it is, or you can bring it down flat, and we're just going to transition, lay on the back. And this is called Recline Butterfly pose. So typically, if this is a little bit too much for you, and if you're in here and you want to support your knees with more blocks, I'll help you guys here in a minute, because this can get a little bit intense because we're going to be here for about 6 minutes. Or if you don't want to bring the soles of the feet together for a mild kind of inner thigh stretch and hip stretch, then you can just kind of crisscross applesauce and just come to this easy pose or Sukhasana. So just do whatever feels comfortable for you. And I'm going to help whoever in here would like some extra blocks. And then at home, you guys can use pillows or books or whatever you can find. Does anybody need blocks here? Do you guys need blocks? No? No? Oh, all right. So just settling in, getting yourself nice and comfortable, using, if you have a blanket for added warmth to put on top of you. Does anybody in here want a blanket? Yeah. I am your yoga butler, I guess. That's what I'm going to call myself. Is that a girl, a butler? I don't know. So I didn't mean to smother your face. You know what we could do if you want? Do you want to like put your arms like and really lift your arms up, and then it's like a burrito thing. You could do that if you want, so that your arms don't, okay, put them down. Is that too much? I know, I kind of like that. Anybody else? That's called the kind of the burrito hug. All right, so just again, settling in, closing down the eyes, taking a few breaths, and just surrendering into the props. And if it's helpful to think about a white or a blue light as you inhale, filling you up, and then exhale, just letting go of whatever doesn't serve you. And then again, just thinking about getting 1% maybe more relaxed every time you exhale. Just really letting go of any tension. Maybe just checking in and seeing and noticing if you're still holding on to tension. Maybe doing a quick body scan starting at the top of the head, shoulders, our jaw. Often we hold on to a lot of tension in the jaw, so making sure that the tongue isn't pressed against the roof of the mouth. Just relaxing the jaw. That space right in between the eyebrows, making sure it's nice and relaxed. That's our third eye. And then working our way down to our throat, shoulders, low back, hips, and the feet. And then just considering if there's any way that you can even get a little bit more relaxed. Got a few more moments in this pose. Got about 5 more breaths in this reclined butterfly. And remember, this practice is all about really tapping in to your intuition, to the wisdom of your body, what it needs. So just thinking about what you might want to do in between before we transition to the next pose, just listening to what your body might need. Maybe just bringing the knees in, resting them. This is called constructive rest. Or if you want a windshield wiper, one knee in or the other. And again, just listening to what your body needs, how it wants to move. And then just maybe spend like a few breaths there. In this transition, seeing if you can really fill up the breath and notice what parts of the body you notice the breath in the most. The nostrils, the chest, the belly, and then when you're ready, we are going to transition and lay flat on the mat. So when you're ready, just going to adjust the bolster and move it off to the side. I'm going to do a little twist on each side. When we do a restorative practice, we always try to move our spine in all directions, even if it's very subtle. And so again, you can have maybe one blanket under you if you want for a little bit more heat and cushioning. One over, but I recommend using a bolster or whatever you've got at home to support the knee. So we're just going to lay down flat. Maybe bring the knees in and then dropping them off first to the right. And so typically, a lot of times when we do this recline twist, if you practice yoga regularly, we don't really need to necessarily use any props. But again, with restorative yoga, we really want to support the musculature. So I'd like to sometimes have a bolster underneath my bottom leg. You can also bring the bolster or a pillow in between the knees here, a blanket. You can have a bolster under the knees and over and in between, just really setting yourself up super comfortable. My rule with restorative is that you cannot have enough props. Like the more the better, in my opinion. So set yourself up on the right hand side. Do you guys in here want more props? You want a blanket? Yeah. We have plenty. You want one over you all the way or in between? Okay. Are you guys cold? All right, I'll be right back. Let's make it a little bit warmer in here. And so again, we don't want to really necessarily chase sensation. We just want to move our spine a little bit off to the right-hand side. And again, the most important thing here is to feel nice and supported. And really, it doesn't matter where you look. You can look up, eyes closed, you can look off to the left, just whatever feels comfortable. And again, with this left arm and right arm, just place them wherever it feels good. There are no rules. And again, just listening to what your body needs, what feels good. Spend a few minutes on each side. We got about 5 more breaths on this side. So just like we've been doing before we move to the next side, just thinking about moving nice and slow before you move, and just really just doing whatever you need to do or what feels good before you transition. So maybe bringing the knees in, just a little squeeze, maybe rocking side to side, taking your time. And then transitioning to the other side when you're ready. And just paying attention here once you get settled on this side. If you're noticing that you feel like a little stuck spot or just a little bit of tension, just notice how when you send the breath to that area of the body, as you inhale, really expanding that space and using the breath to maybe knock out or tap into what needs to be shaken loose. And exhale. And again, just thinking about letting go of what no longer serves you. Maybe taking one nice inhale, expanding everything, opening up the space, and then exhale, it's releasing and just settling in. About 5 more breaths on this side. So before you consider moving, we're going to set up for our final pose, which is going to be Shavasana, but it's yogi's choice. So I'm going to give you lots of options. One option is always just to support yourself any way you want to, laying with the legs out, palms face up. And then I am going to shut the lights out for the last 10 minutes once everybody gets settled. And it's really good to have as much darkness and warmth in your Shavasana, especially for this winter solstice practice. Another option, if that's not feeling too comfortable on your low back, is to set up what's called constructive rest, resting the knees in against one another. Another thing that I like to do is called Stonehenge Shavasana, which just means if you have something at home where you can duplicate this, where you've got blocks or something to elevate a bolster or a pillow, to just raise the legs up a little bit and place the calves on the bolster and then lay flat. But if that's not something you have, you can do this with a chair, couch, or legs up the wall, where you find a wall that you can just scoot your bottom towards and bring the legs up. The closer that you come to the wall, the more you're going to feel it in your hamstrings and your back. So the intention here isn't, again, to chase sensation. It's really good for the lymphatic system to reverse kind of the flow where your feet are above your heart and your head. So just know that we're going to be here for about 8 or 10 minutes. So pick a position that you can be really nice and settled and comfortable. And once everybody gets set up, I'm going to shut the lights out. Looks like everybody in here. Do you need any help, Dawn? Good. Okay. Just taking advantage of these last few moments of stillness and quiet. Just going to walk you guys through a winter solstice visualization practice. And just imagining that you're outside somewhere, whether it be a real place, a place you've visited before, or just a place in your imagination. Nice open space, snow, cold air so that you can see your breath, And as you're walking in this open space, maybe there's mountains, lots of beautiful trees, maybe you're in a forest. And as you're walking, you can hear the snow crunching under your feet. And it's dark outside, it's quiet. The only sound that you can hear is the crunching of the snow under your feet and the sound of an owl off in the distance. You can smell the scent of pine in the air. And as you continue to walk, there's a clearing up ahead, and you can see a large stone that's just sticking out of the snow of the ground. And as you approach the stone, you notice there's a seat. So you take a seat and you're supported by the stone underneath you and the stone behind you. It's a perfect place for you to sit. And as you look up, you can see the moon and the stars. Smell the pine in the air. You're just suspended in the quiet and the space that the dark is holding. And as you're seated on the stone, just considering the past year. The darkness holds the layers of unconscious within, and on the dark night of the winter solstice, receives and absorbs all that you wish to get rid of. As you consider all that has happened over the last year, any challenges that you're ready to release, pain that you want to surrender, emotions, allow the darkness to transform it. Any emotions that you want to release anything that you're ready to let go of and that no longer serves you. Releasing it under the stone that you're seated on, or the stone that's supporting the back of you. Drawing strength from the stone. You're focusing on your breath. As you inhale the cold air, you can feel it in your lungs. Just focusing on your breath, breathing in and breathing out. Now shift your awareness to your heart center, your heart chakra. And maybe you begin to envision an intention for what's to come. Planting a seed as the light begins to return. Considering what is in your heart that wants to expand or that wants to be expressed in the year to come. Feeling the power of the stone that's supporting you. Envision the light that's within you. Thinking about what you're grateful for, the experiences, the challenges, all of it, of the past year. After you have released what no longer serves you to the darkness, intended new growth as light returns. Embracing this gift of the winter solstice. You can choose to spend a little bit more time where you're at. Completely up to you. I'm just going to kind of list off a few things if you're interested in journaling. If not, you can do it at another time. And obviously, there's no rules here, writing whatever you want. And again, you don't even have to get up. You can just stay put. But sometimes after a practice like this, things come up and it's just a good time to get them out on paper. Or maybe it's just a good time to stay exactly where you are. Some things to think about if nothing's come to mind. What are my biggest personal achievements or celebrations from the year? Do you guys want some light? Okay. So what are my biggest personal achievements or celebrations of the year? You sure you don't want any light? Those are good. Okay. As we age, sometimes our eyesight isn't the greatest, so that's why I wanted to make sure. I'm speaking from personal experience here. So. Do you notice? I have to take my glasses off when I'm looking really close. And then I'll read a couple authors. Again, no rules, just seeds, little ideas. What were some of the challenging lessons that I faced this past year? There's extra notebooks out there. There's extra journals. What have I learned and how have I integrated these lessons into my life? What habits are no longer serving me? And what am I ready to let go of? This one actually probably should have been first, but what can I do to care for myself this winter? And I can repeat those. So for purposes of time, I'm going to let everybody in here. There's no rush, but I'm going to put the light back on and see if anybody has any questions. Anybody in Zoom land have any questions? Are you guys awake in Zoom land? And you guys don't have, you guys can stay put. You're good.
I got my setup here with all my candles and this was absolutely wonderful. And I've got my journal and I'm so happy. I feel so good. I hadn't done restorative yoga in I don't even know how many years. So it was great to hold those poses for so long and just feel my body relax. Like it was, because it took a while.
It does take a while.
Yeah. So thank you.
Good. You're welcome. Yeah. And continue doing that all winter long. Try to do restorative. I usually do one restorative pose every night. Like I don't do a practice like that, but I'll hold one for a while by my fireplace where it's warm.
Yeah. I got my little heater here too.
Yes. But yeah, candles, lots of darkness, sleep, and self-care this winter. I'm so glad you made it, Julie.
Me too. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Wendy. That was awesome.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thanks for joining us. We're not in any rush to kick everybody off. These guys are hanging here. So but you guys can leave whenever you're ready. Or you could just like roll right into bed since you guys are at home, which is probably what I would do if I were you. There's a bedroom here. Do you guys have any questions? Because I think I'm going to end the recording. Okay.
No, good night. Thank you so
All right.
much.
Yes, I'll be in touch, Julie. Take care.
Okay.
And take care of Shannon and Dee Dee.
Yes, thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, Wendy. Bye.
Bye.